right, we're going to start looking at exponent rules. So in this first example, I have 6x times x squared times x to the third. And we know that x squared simply means we have x times x. You're multiplying something by itself twice. And we know that x to the third means x times x times x. Now, if I put these together, if I have 2 x's and I have 3 x's, that means I have a total of 5 x's. So I have x to the 5th power. And then I'm going to bring down this 6x. So I have 6x times x to the 5th power. Now, if I break down the 6x, we know that a number next to a variable means that I'm multiplying. So this is like 6 times x to the 5th. And we know that anything that is by itself would be raised to a power of 1. So if I had x to the 1st power and x to the 5th power, that would leave me with x to the 6th power. And then I bring down the 6. So this would be 6x to the 6th power. This rule on your table sheet is known as the product of powers. And that basically means that if the variables are the same, you can just add their exponents together. And product means multiplying. So when I'm multiplying, if the variables are the same, you just add the exponents together. All right, for our next example, we have 2x to the 10th over 8x to the 4th. Now, when I look at these numbers on the outside, these are our base numbers. So 2 and 8, if I had that as a fraction, would simplify to 1/4. So I'm going to simplify this to 1/4. Now, if I have x to the 10th power, so that means that I have 10 x's, and that is over x to the 4th power, so that means that I have 4 x's. When we have numbers that are the same over each other, for example, if I gave you the fraction 3/3, you would tell me that that simplifies to 1. It is the same thing with variables. So if I have x over x, that's going to simplify to 1. And if I multiply anything by 1, it's going to stay the same. So I'm just going to cross these off. And I can cross off 4 of them because that's what I have in the denominator. So I'm going to cross off 4 in the numerator. So I would be left with, for my final answer, 1/4. I have 6 x's left at the numerator. So this would be times x to the 6th power. And then I'm left with nothing in the denominator. So I'm just going to leave that blank. Now we know that 1 times x to the 6th is just going to leave us with x to the 6th. Because anything times 1 is going to give you itself. Over 4. Keep that blank. All right, for my next example, I have 8/4 x squared over x times x to the 5th over x to the 4th. So if I look at the numerator first, remember anything that has the same variable, so these both have x, means that I can add the exponents together. So if I have 2 x's and then I have 5 x's, that means I have a total of 7 x's. So this would be 8x to the 7th power over, I have 4 times x and then x to the 4th. So remember x, if it's just an x, that's x to the 1st power. So I have 1x and then I have 4 x's, which leaves me with 5 x's. So then that would give me 4x to the 5th power. All right, now I'm going to look how I can simplify this. So if I have 8/4, That would simplify to 2 over 1, or just 2 as a whole number. So I'd be left with 2 in the numerator. If I have 7 x's and then I have 5 x's, remember that they're going to cross off. You would be left with 2 x's in the numerator, so x squared. And then I am just left with nothing in the denominator. I simplified out the 4, and I simplified out the x's. So your final answer would just be 2x squared. All right, our next example is when we are raising a power to a power. So this rule is the powers to powers rule, or power of a power. All right, so I have x squared to the 3rd power. And what this is saying is that I have 3 sets of x squared. So this is like x squared times x squared times x squared 3 times. And then I have x to the 4th power squared. So this is saying that I have 2 sets of x to the 4th power. So x to the 4th times x to the 4th. Now remember, if I have x squared, and x squared, so I have 2x's, 2x's, and 2x's, this is the same as x to the 6th power, or I'm just adding the exponents together. If I have 4x's and I have another 4x's, then that means that I have a total of 8. So that is x to the 8th power. So if I have x to the 6th power times x to the 8th power, so I have 6 x's and I have 8 x's, that means I have a total of 14 x's. So my simplest answer would be x to the 14th power. Now the easiest way to do this is to multiply your exponents together. 2 times 3 would give us that x to the 6th power. And 4 times 2 would give us that x to the 8th power. So I can multiply those 2 powers together.